This year marks the 100th year of birth of Senator Ralph C. Mahar and the 50th year of his passing. If Senator Mahar were with us today, he would certainly be proud of the athletic prowess in the school that he created. He would also be proud to know that the students sitting before us tonight have earned, along with their high school diplomas, more than 3,000 credits at Mount Wachusett Community College. 10 students in this class, along with their high school diplomas, also earned their associate degrees. And what's even more astounding is that the college credits and degrees were awarded at the price of $0 for their families. When I was preparing for this part of tonight's ceremony to celebrate the legacy of Ralph C. Mahar, I came across a letter that was written by Ralph C. Mahar on June 22nd, 1955. And I would like to read this to you this evening. It's to Henry Hastings, the superintendent of schools in Orange, Massachusetts. And it reads, "Dear Mr. Hastings, I have your very kind letter of June 20th and want you to know that I am deeply grateful for the action of the Irving Orange Regional School Committee in making the decision to name the new regional school for me. At first blush, when I was apprised of the fact of the committee's action, I did not know just what would be the proper thing to do. However, the more I thought about it, and the more I realized how sincerely the members of your committee approached the matter, I came to the conclusion that I most certainly should accept what I deem to be a very great honor. This will mean a great deal to my wife and my little girl. Of course, my dad and my mother, too. I can only say in conclusion that once again, I am deeply grateful for your fine tribute. 50 years ago, almost to this day, Senator Mahar stood and delivered the keynote address to the class of 1962. In celebration of the legacy of Senator Mahar, it's now my privilege to introduce his daughter, Eleanor Mahar Deegan, who graduated almost 50 years ago today. Mrs. Mahar Deegan is the only son of Peggy and Ralph Mahar. She's a graduate of UMass Amherst. Her education was shaped by her father's educational initiatives. As an adult, she attempted to embody the example of her father's activist model, though in different times and in different ways. She's been married to Thomas J. Deegan of Orange, Massachusetts for the past 42 years. Their daughter, Deidre Deegan Esquire, is a lawyer like her grandfather and is currently doing battle for WGBH. Her husband, Mahmoud Firuzbakht, is an attorney as well, who works to create affordable housing programs in the city of Boston. Ralph's great-grandson Cameron is 4 years old and ready to follow in the footsteps of his great-grandfather. Mrs. Mahar Deegan has taught daycare, been a nanny, worked for Head Start, published, and runs Electra Bureau. She's a proud flower child, a huge fan of the boss, Bruce Springsteen, and a very, very, very proud daughter of her father, the late Senator Ralph C. Mahar. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Mrs. Ellie Mahar Deegan.
The most important thing I wanted to leave all of you with is the fact that no matter what kind of stresses or difficulties are handed to you, you can overcome them and you can become who you are. My father changed all of our lives, yet he wasn't driven like the madman. He took time and enjoyed making the world a better place. This is the beginning of June 2012, and 50 years ago, I was you, graduating into the future. My dad, after whom, of course, the school was named, was our commencement speaker, as just mentioned. Like any good, reputable 17-year-old, I was terribly embarrassed. I don't think I listened. I didn't know, of course, that he would be dead in 2 months. At 17, I had no way of appreciating who he really was in the world. He was my dad. We had just begun to have real conversations. All I knew was that I missed him and I was terrified of the world. When When he was 8 years old, he founded the Duty, Faith, and Truth Club. He and his friends would talk about things, life, what life expected of them, their hopes, their dreams. Then they'd play ball. My dad was usually the catcher. Have I mentioned that he was handicapped? He was. Born with a congenital skeletal deformity which forced him to wear specially made shoes. The sole of the left one built up 4 inches. Didn't stop him from catching baseballs, or as he grew up, from dancing with pretty girls. It seems almost too neat to be true, but it is true. By the age of 50, this very little man, he was only 5'3" on a good day, from Orange, Little Orange, had changed the state of Massachusetts forever. He created the first regional high school in the state, as well as the University of Massachusetts system. He had pushed for benefits, health benefits, education, and housing benefits for returning World War II veterans and later for Korean veterans. He missed Vietnam. He missed the 60s. The murder of the president he opposed but liked very much. I'm glad he missed that. Vietnam, I'm glad he missed that. And I'm proud that just after his passing, almost immediately after his passing, a week to the day after his passing, there was no Cold War in Orange, Mass. There were Russians downtown. Yes, there were. Because of my father's last legislative initiative, the funding to bring the 6th World Sport Hurricane Championships to Orange, Mass. There were participants from 26 countries, and some of them were communists. This was 1962, the height of the Cold War, and there were Russians in Orange. He could have graduated from Tufts cum laude. Also, by the way, you should know that by the age of 21, he was pretty much stone deaf. He started losing his hearing at age 17. He was very good at reading lips, and since hearing aids weren't available, that's what he had to do. Because he'd been a speaking person and a hearing person, his speech was normal. He could have graduated from Tufts cum laude if he had merely attended that one last French class that Saturday morning in the spring of 1933. But it was too nice a morning to sit indoors. Have I told you that his name was on the ballot for the first election he was old enough to vote in? Back then, that meant you were 21. He took on a long-term representative in the Massachusetts House race. He lost by 6 votes. He was 21. By recount, he lost by 11 votes. So, he taught for 2 years at the Orange High School, modernizing his classroom civic sports by providing subscriptions for each student to Newsweek, a revolutionary thing to do in the pre-TV age. He was already bringing the world to Orange. He won his seat in the House and began his legislative career while still stone deaf. He also earned his law degree at the brand new Northeastern School of Law. Deaf and handicapped, he served in the House until 1944, when he was elected to the Senate. That was the year I was born. Ralph Mahar was unstoppable when it came to living his life. He followed his own star. Despite being a Republican, he was a true rebel. When he was 12, he refused to be confirmed in the Anglican Church, opting instead for the Congregationalists. He got a hearing aid when he could, married a pretty Catholic Irish girl from Cambridge, Peggy Maslin, brought her home. Kind of a no-no on a number of levels back in those old small-town days. They were a really gorgeous couple. My father had a natural glamour despite his physical difficulties. His dark brown eyes betrayed both intelligence and humor, and when he laughed, his dimples were deep. In his white summer suit with his patent leather hair and a white fedora, he had a real movie star thing going, and a shoe bomb on his arm. Had he so chosen, he could have been a wealthy man. He was a very powerful man. He chose duty, faith, truth, and fun. He savored his free time and valued it along with performing effectively in the world. He lived a richer life. He had a good time changing the state of Massachusetts and the town of Orange, and he never did anything just for money. At the age of 8, a little handicapped boy living on the corner of Prospect and High started the Duty, Faith, and Truth Club. You are graduating from his school, and I hope many of you are continuing to his university. The clubhouse may be gone. The club will always be there. It's waiting for you to join, and maybe you're already a member. So go ahead and change the world, but do it like Ralph did. Have a lot of fun. Thank you.
Please join the concert band. The Mahar Concert Band, conducted by Mr. Choe, will play Down by the Sally Gardens, arranged by Michael Sweeney.